5, 4.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone here in the Commissioner's Auditorium and those of you who are out in TV land observing us tonight. Let's have our roll call, please. Mr. Garris, would you do our invocation? And Dr. Johnson, would you do our pledge, please?
Let's all stand for prayer, please. Father, we thank you this evening for your many blessings upon us. We thank you for the opportunity of gathering together as a community. We thank you for each one that is here, each one that is in our audience. We thank you for their commitment to their community and their interest in the community. We pray that you might be with us as a board this evening, that we might look at each item that is on our agenda and that we might make the decisions that would be best suited for those that we represent. These blessings we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Let us face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Let's vote. The agenda is approved. The first thing we have are two presentations, and manager.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve both of those resolutions.
Second.
Okay, let's vote, please. Thank you. Do you want to go and do him, or and have me come later, or would like to go? Let's go.
Madam Chairman, if I can get you and Commissioner Owens to come down front, please, for formal presentation. This evening, we'd like to formally recognize our former chairman and vice chairwoman, Madam Chairwoman of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. We have two beautifully prepared resolutions, one each for them, and if the board will allow, I'll go ahead and read these. This first one is to Mark W. Owens Jr. as chairman. It's a resolution of appreciation honoring him for his term as chairman in calendar year 2011. It says, whereas Mark W. Owens Jr. has led the Pitt County Board of Commissioners as chairman from December 2010 to December 2011 with dignity and perseverance. And whereas Mr. Owens has provided the Board of County Commissioners with dedication and commitment during his tenure as chairman. Whereas Mr. Owens represented the county and board at various meetings and special events. Whereas the Board of Commissioners expresses appreciation to Mr. Owens for his ability to focus on an issue and address items with tact and logic. Whereas Mark Owens has, through his attentiveness and devotion, exhibited concern for the overall improvement of the quality of life for the Pitt County citizens. And whereas some of the accomplishments of the Board of Commissioners during the past year included approval and financing of a 700 megahertz radio system, the negotiation and implementation of an improved federal inmate reimbursement rate for the housing of federal prisoners, received numerous awards including the designation as the 100 Best Communities for Young People, completion of a fire tax district review and update, adoption of a disaster debris management plan for the county, provision, support, and implementation for the 2010 Census Committee, and implemented energy and water conservation measures utilizing an ARRA energy grant. Now therefore it be resolved that the Pitt County Board of Commissioners does hereby commend Mark W. Owens Jr. for providing stalwart and able leadership and diligent service to the board and to the citizens of Pitt County through his tenure as chairman for the year 2011. Adopted this 19th day of December 2011 signed by Beth B. Ward, Chairman, Pitt County Board of Commissioners, and attested by Kimberly Hines, the Clerk to the Board. Mr. Owens. We have prepared a similar resolution for Beth Ward, who served as our Vice Chairman, and I'll read it.
Unless you just want to say ditto, and I'm sure they're not as many acronyms.
Okay. Whereas Beth Ward served faithfully and honorably as Vice Chairman of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners from December 2010 to December 2011, where Beth Ward provided the Board of Commissioners, again, with steadfast leadership and commitment as Vice Chairman. Whereas Beth Ward represented the county and board at various ribbon cuttings, meetings, and special events. Whereas the Board of Commissioners expresses appreciation for Beth Ward for her guidance, organization, leadership skills, and commitment to service during her time as Vice Chairman. Whereas during Beth Ward's term as Vice Chairman, she served as a liaison on the Pitt County Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees and the Pitt Community College Board of Trustees. Whereas some of the accomplishments of the Board of Commissioners during the past year also included approval and financing of the 800 megahertz radio system, again, implementation of the federal inmate reimbursement rate for the federal prisoners, the designation and receipt of the 100 best communities for young people, the completion of the fire tax review and update project, and the adoption of the disaster debris management plan for the county, as well as the provision of support and implementation for the 2010 Census Committee, and then again the implementation of the energy and water conservation measures with the federal energy grant. Again, this is signed by our Vice Chairman today, Jimmy Garris, and adopted this 19th day of December 2011. So.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the public addresses to the board. Do we have someone? Excuse me. Oh, I've skipped lots of things. Thank you. No, just one. We have a presentation about a regional aquatics complex proposal. Rob Landry and Tammy Perdue.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Tammy Perdue, and I'm representing a very large group of people, citizens here in Pitt County and Greenville, some of whom are here in the auditorium. If you're here, would you mind standing up? Anyone here about the pool? Thank you. My husband and I moved here about 16 years ago, and we have a great passion for swimming, all things aquatic. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about a vision for an aquatic center. How can swimming benefit our community? First of all, swimming is a skill that can save lives. That goes without saying. But swimming is also a lifelong sport. It's something that we can learn when we're young, and we can use it as recreation and fitness our entire lives. Swimming also helps with weight loss, with flexibility, with strengthening, and water is the great equalizer. If you're disabled, if you're arthritic, if you're pregnant, you can get in the water. Immediately those pounds come off and you feel great. And water's just fun. This picture on this slide is a disabled veteran, Melissa Stockwell, who's a Paralympic swimmer, and it's hard to see, but she has an above-the-knee amputation on the left as a war wound. So let's go back and talk first about the safety, the benefits of swimming for our citizens. If we look at accidental drowning, we see that every day 9 people drown in the United States. Of these, 2 are children aged 14 and under. Drowning is the 6th leading cause of death for all ages, and it's the 2nd leading cause of death for ages 1 through 14. If we break it down further, we see a very disturbing trend that children of minorities drown at higher incidences than Caucasian children. African American children drown 3.1 times the rate of Caucasian children. American Indian children drown 2.3 times the rate of Caucasian children. We know that if we can get these children in swimming lessons, we can reduce those numbers by 88%. If you look at the racial groups, again, African Americans report the most limited swimming ability across the age group. And that's followed closely by American Indians and Hispanics. Now I want to pause and give you a message from Olympian swimmer Cullen Jones. He participated in the 2008 Beijing Olympics, and he actually was a graduate of NC State and swam for NC State.
Every day, 9 people drown in America. Olympian Cullen Jones is committed to changing that. In 2009, he will travel the country on a 6-city event series called Make a Splash with Cullen Jones, presented by ConocoPhillips, to promote the availability of life-saving swimming lessons.
Since winning a gold medal in Beijing, my life has been a complete and utter whirlwind. It has been a story, dream come true. 16 years in the making, it finally has paid off for sure. Oddly enough, I didn't start off swimming because I wanted to be an Olympic champion. I started because when I was 5 years old, I almost drowned in an amusement park. Being almost part of that statistic of seeing so many African Americans and Latins drowning, that's why I feel like it's so deep in my heart to try to change that. Well, this year I've partnered up with ConocoPhillips, USA Swimming, and Make a Splash to try to help spread awareness. And I'm not only going to be talking to kids, but I'm really focused in on getting the parents involved because I think that that's the first step. Looking at the African American and Hispanic communities, their statistics are so much higher than any other place just because when you have a parent that doesn't know how to swim, most likely a lot of times the child doesn't know how to swim. I would definitely stress the importance of learning how to swim to a parent. You wouldn't put your kid into a car without a seatbelt. It's the same thing with letting your child go to a pool, neighborhood pool. A simple day of just being in the pool can turn into a life-threatening situation if the kid doesn't know how to swim.
Help save a life this summer. To find swimming lessons near you or to sponsor a swimming lesson for a child in need, go to Make a Splash.
So he said it better than I could, for sure. What groups could benefit if we could build an aquatic center that everyone could have access to and there would be room for everyone? These are a list of some groups that I've come up with and other people have come up with, but there's so many more. Basically, swimming is a sport or an activity that everyone can participate in, all ages, all races, abilities, disabilities. Everyone benefits. Now, we already have some swimming pools in town, so you might be thinking, what about those pools? What's wrong with those? And I think that that's a very good question. If we look at those pools, we find that some of those are outdoor pools, which means summer only. Some of those are private pools, which means members only. Some of those are ECU facilities, which means ECU only. And basically, if you eliminate all of those options for the public, there's one pool, Greenville Aquatics and Fitness Center. Now, Greenville Aquatics and Fitness Center does many things well, but it has some serious limitations. First of all, it's a warm water pool. It's not a very large pool, and the water is kept warm to accommodate the arthritis classes, swim lessons, and it makes it dangerously warm for people that are there competing for our high school swim teams at practice or people that are lap swimming. There's a small amount of deck space in that pool, and it's too shallow. You cannot dive. So what that means is when our high schoolers go there to practice, they cannot dive. They can't practice their starts. They can't practice their relay exchanges. And so oftentimes when they go to swim meets representing Pitt County schools, they've never even done a start. They had not dove until they get to that hosting pool and they get up on those blocks for the first time. The other issue, or another issue, with the Aquatics and Fitness Center is the northern location. It's convenient to some members of our community, but for the vast majority, as Pitt County and Greenville grow south and west, it's not convenient, and so it's not as used. I think it's underutilized compared to what it could be if it were more central. And it's also an aging facility. Greenville Parks and Rec has done a good job of keeping it up, but honestly, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of work to keep it up. So what could the future of aquatics look like for our county and for Greenville? Well, what we're here to propose, and this is kind of the standard if you go across the state and in any other state, is actually a complex of specifically designed pools. And what that does is it allows you to have variations in these areas. Water temperature. Certain water temperature is good for some activities, but not good for others. If you have more than one pool designed for that activity, you can accommodate that. Size and depth is different. Indoors or outdoors, that's different. Competition or recreation. That is something that we can also target when we have a complex. Most public pool complexes in central and western North Carolina and even in the eastern part of North Carolina and other cities are a combination of 4 pool types, and I'm going to go through those briefly so that you can have a little understanding about those. If we look at a 4 pool complex, we know we need about 4.5 acres of land, 2 of which would be parking. So it doesn't take as much space as you would think. Okay, pool type number 1. I'm going to go through these quickly. Outdoor recreation pool. This is just about fun. The sky's the limit on what we can imagine and do, but basically it would be an outdoor pool where families can come in summer months, have a great time. There would be a 0 level entry, which is kind of where, if you're at the beach, where the ocean laps up onto the sand, that area there where little children can sit and play. You can build pools with that, so that there's a 0 level entry and small children can play there. People who are disabled or have trouble walking can get themselves into the water at that 0 level entry without assistance, which is really nice. You can have a resistance walkway, which for water walkers and water aerobics folks, they love that. It blows jets of water against you as you walk, and it creates added resistance. Spraying, climbing toys, slides, all sorts of things. Now, this is a picture of the outdoor recreation pool at Huntersville, North Carolina County Complex. This was taken during the winter months, and so the pool is closed, but you can see on the left-hand side of that picture that 0 level entry that I'm talking about, and some fun things to do in the middle there, and then lots of nice umbrellas where families and people can sit in the shade. Okay, pool type number 2, 50-meter covered pool. This would meet the needs of local teams, and this is really the gold standard. And this summer when we participate in the Olympics, and you watch that on TV, you're going to see the U.S. team swimming in a 50-meter pool. We do not have a 50-meter pool anywhere around here. The closest one is Goldsboro. This allows multiple teams or usage groups to use this water at the same time. And the way that works is you have a 50-meter pool, a long rectangle. There's a bulkhead at one end. 2 people can easily lift and float that bulkhead and lock it into place, and that one pool becomes 2 pools. And then you can have 2 different high school teams on either side of that bulkhead. If we're hosting a swim competition with hundreds and hundreds of swimmers, you can have boys events on one side, girls events on the other. It allows you just to get lots of people in that space at the same time. And by having this pool, this is the first step to having a facility that would allow us to host swimming competitions that would bring a large amount of revenue to the county, which you have a handout about, and I'll also cover that on a slide. Okay, this is again the Huntersville facility. This is a picture of their 50-meter pool to give you all an idea of what that looks like. And in this picture, the bulkhead is in the 50-meter position. So this is the long shot of that pool. If we look at competitive swimming, because that is one of the largest usage groups for aquatics facilities here, we see that it's one of the area's fastest growing sports. We have a summer league here. It's called Greenville Area Summer Swim League. Incorporates city and county teams. We last summer had 700 swimmers from 8 teams. We had the Greenville Swim Club, which is the year-round age group program. It's been here since the late 1960s. Dr. Ray Martinez started that. And this year we have a record-setting 270 swimmers, both children and adults. We have an adult team now, and they actually compete, work out together. It's very exciting. And also 3 high school teams, Rose, Conley, and South Central all-field swim teams. And they share practice time at the Aquatics and Fitness Center either very early in the morning, and unfortunately I'm not sure, but it is very early, and late at night. And that's a problem because, frankly, we're out of pool space. There are several other high schools that have expressed interest in having swim teams, North Pitt, Farmville Central, Aden Grifton, but they've been told no. And it's not for lack of interest, it's because there just simply is no place for them to practice. So that's really a shame. Frankly, our high school, middle school, and age group swimmers are simply out of water. This is a picture at the city pool taken last July. This was probably the hottest day of the summer for those that were there. This is the Gassel Championship meet, so this is the grand finale to the summer season. You see the cars in the distance. You see the spectators around the pool. It's quite an event. This slide will cover, you have a handout with these numbers on it. What we did was we looked at 3 large meets with 700 swimmers, and some of these meets have as many as 1,000 swimmers. Junior Olympic sectionals, which is a regional meet, and high school states. And we looked very conservatively, and I would underline the word conservative at these numbers. They probably are actually a lot higher. The first section is revenue intake from time spent in hotels and motels. The middle section is revenue from eating in our restaurants. The bottom section is revenue from buying gasoline, doing a little shopping, those types of things. And at the bottom of each column, you see for each of those 3 meets, if we just use those as an example, the far right at the bottom, $660,000 plus dollars, and again, that's a very conservative number, but it's obviously well over $500,000 could come into Pitt County just from having this facility. One of the beauties of swimming is you don't have to pay for these competitions to come to us. We just have to have the proper facility. Pool type number 3, an indoor 10-lane, 25-yard pool. This is a multi-use pool, so it has different depths. This would be available for lap swimming, deep water aerobics, and also team use. And this is the size pool that our high schools desperately need. We cannot host a high school meet in this town. We go to Washington, they can host a meet. New Bern can host a meet. But Pitt County schools cannot host a meet in this town. We do not have a facility of our own that we can host a meet in. This is a picture of one of these facilities. This is in Hillsboro, part of their sportsplex. This is a 25-yard by 25-meter pool. It's a 10-lane pool. You can see the lanes at the far right going across. Pool type number 4, a warm water pool. This is the perfect pool for very young people, for elderly and disabled. The warm water and the shallow depth allow for lessons. And one of the key things we really need in this community is, and it's right in the middle here, a zero-level entry into a warm water pool. There is not one. There is not one pool, indoor pool, where a disabled person can get themselves into the water without a lift, without steps, or an assistance. And I think that is something that needs to be changed. We would have a ramp of some sort where they could roll themselves in or walk in with assistive devices. These are some graphics of what warm water pools could look like, but again, they can be designed any way that you want. So this might seem like an unrealistic goal to be looking at all these pools, but all of these cities here have newer pool facilities than Greenville. We are way behind, way behind. There's all sorts of exciting recreational links. If I had another hour, I could probably stand here and continue to talk, but I know I don't. But gym space, I know, is something that we need a lot of. Volleyball teams, basketball teams, adult and youth are always looking for gym space. We can incorporate weight and cardiovascular training into this facility. Something that I'm particularly interested in as a nurse is that we could have a link with a clinic for obese patients to teach swimming as a weight loss modality. So key. Swimming is something you can do when you're heavy and your legs hurt, your knees hurt, your ankles hurt. You can get in that water and you can exercise. It's such a great thing. And then finally, something that I think is very exciting, and I think that possibly some grant funding could be here for this, would be that we could link to underserved county areas, both in our own county and maybe even outside of our county, with van transportation, and allow children from other areas that don't have transportation to come in, and maybe, the third week of the summer months could be the Aden, Grifton van, and kids could come and they could have swimming lessons, they could have fun, they could have healthy snacks, all sorts of things could happen. I think it's very, very exciting possibilities. Looking at these links, this is again the Huntersville facility. They have awesome gym space incorporated into this building with 3 pools. Okay, money. Depends on a lot of variables, and obviously to build a pool is not a cheap thing, so it would be expensive. But I think it depends on the number of pools in the complex. It depends on whether they're indoors or outdoors. Indoor pools are always more expensive because you have roofs and you have air conditioning and dehumidification, and whether the land is donated or purchased. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility, though, and these are some of the things that we are thinking, our group. I think it would require, to make this happen, it would really require a circle the wagons mentality. The county, the city, the large donors, the small donors, the corporate donors would all need to come to the table and say, okay, this is something that would help all of us. How can we make this happen? And see how we can do it. I believe that we can do it. I think other areas have done it. There's no reason why we can't do it as well. I believe that there's state funding and grant monies, especially when we start targeting populations that can't swim or the obese, especially young people. We've got such a terrible problem in eastern North Carolina with obesity. There would be corporate sponsors. There's all sorts of donorship opportunities, large and small. We can include it in the city and county CIP programs, and possibly a bond referendum could get things going. So you think, why spend so much money on a pool complex? And I wish I could stand here and tell you because you're going to make a lot of money, but you won't. It's not going to be a money maker. But I believe that the reasons that we need it are even more important than the bottom line. And I believe that they're intangible reasons. I believe it would save lives. I believe that health would be increased, which of course ultimately does save money, although it's hard to track those dollars. I believe that it would draw the type of people to our community that we really want to be here. People that are health conscious, people that are looking for recreation with their families, the types of folks that would come to our community from all across the state. And when we host these large competitions, I can attest, because I go and spend my money in a lot of different towns in North Carolina, people are looking at that community. What kind of a community is that? Wow, this is a pretty nice place to live. And so it really would put us on the map. I believe that families would have another way to enjoy some quality time together, get from out in front of the TV and get outside and do something together. I think we desperately need a public pool, a pool where everyone can come. And I believe that young people could find physical focus through swimming, whether it's recreational or competitively, and they could learn to compete, some of them. And you saw Cullen Jones. He didn't come from a family of swimmers. I believe that we could have some of the next great swimmers right here in our area, but they never get a chance to swim. I mean, we've got great athletes in this area. So the benefits, I believe, can't just be measured in numbers. What we're requesting as a group is that we form a development committee, that at least one of the commissioners would sit on that committee, that at least one of the school board members would sit on that committee, and that at least one city council person would sit on that committee, as well as any of us who you would want on that committee. We would be willing to give our time and what we know. And it would be to develop recommendations on location, funding. How can we make this happen? Other cities are making it happen. We should be able to do it as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Perdue. And if you will wait there for a minute, and we'll see if any of the commissioners have questions or comments. Dr. Johnson has already requested, so Dr. Johnson.
Yes, I do want to say that I have an interest in swimming, and all four of my children were swimmers. Not just in learning how to swim, but in age group swimming, in the group in Greenville, swimming in the East Carolina University swimming pool. Before any of my children were born, I was the go-to person on the faculty at UNC Chapel Hill to teach beginning swimming to students. And I have lots of stories to tell, not the least of which is that one young man who came from the mountains of North Carolina walked past me and jumped in the diving tank and went straight to the bottom. And I didn't ask to go down 13 feet and pull him out, but it was necessary. And I asked him why, and he said, I told my buddies I was going to go to Chapel Hill and learn how to swim. Well, that wasn't the way to do it. But he stayed in my class for 2 years, and he learned how to swim, but he was tough. And as I say, I was the go-to person. We had swimming in the summer for children of the community, and I was involved in that. And my oldest son was involved in that. And out of my 4 children, there are only 2 who are still swimming. And they don't just swim, they swim, bicycle, and run, and on a regular basis. And I'm amazed at what they do. But it appears to me that Dr. Massey from Pitt Community College can have some answers for this group, and that is paint a nice picture and get some folks to donate money to build such a complex. This Board of County Commissioners can't involve itself in anything else that costs money. Isn't that right, Mr. James?
I agree.
We have a limited amount of money, and even the commissioners have a limited amount of time to spend in raising money. And I would wish the group well, but say that that the Pitt County Board of County Commissioners can't really get directly involved in this type of activity. I do not believe that East Carolina University is going to kick the age group swimming folks out. One of my best friends is retired, but still for a limited amount of money works for East Carolina University, and he's in charge of seeing that the ECU pool is maintained and operated, and it takes a lot of money. As I talk to him, it takes a lot of money to maintain that pool. And so it's not just building the pool, but it is maintaining the pool. And someone needs to lead the effort. And it can eventually be done if an effort is made to find a donor or more than one donor to give the money to construction of facility and maintaining the facility. And Madam Chairman, I appreciate the time. I don't want to be involved in teaching swimming anymore. I've had enough of it for a lifetime, and I will never forget diving down 13 feet to pull that fella out, who should not have walked past me. Everybody else was standing and waiting, but he didn't wait. And I had learned how to save a person, and I had to put it in action. And thank you, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Garris.
Madam Chairman, I would like to say thank you for coming with your presentation. I think that your presentation is good. It is a great project. The thing that does concern me, however, of course, is the cost. When you were you thinking that your initial phase would be 4 pools, or would you go into it in phases?
Well, honestly, I think it's always easier to ask for more and do less than it is to ask for less and do more. But I think that each of those pools that I presented has a specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be my hope that if it was a phased project, that it could be, with the idea that ultimately it would be a complete complex.
You have the revenue that could possibly be generated from such a complex. Mm-hmm. What would be the cost of building such a facility? Do you have any ideas?
Well, I'm a nurse. I'm not a a marketer or a businessman or a builder or of any sort. We can look at what other pools have cost in the state, and those are built at different times and in different locations, and they have different parameters, so to speak. The Huntersville complex was, if I recall, it was built for about $7 to $8 million. It's pretty bare bones. It's not it's fine, but it's not fancy. But that was back, I want to say it was 2005. But again, I have that information. I just don't have it sitting right here in front of me. I think really it would depend on, like I said, the types of pools. Indoor pools are much more expensive than outdoor pools to build and to maintain year to year. And I think Commissioner Johnson hit the nail on the head. There is considerable cost month to month and year to year. So that's why I think it would be important if we could, and I understand that that commissioners don't feel like perhaps that they can fund it, but I would hope that you would consider being part of it. I don't think that it would necessarily be something the city could do all alone. So I think that if we had donors, if we had some corporate sponsors that were willing to donate some fairly large amounts, I think that we can make it happen.
Do you have a board or a committee, an official board?
We're just kind of loose right now.
Okay. The only thought that I had, and I don't know how my fellow commissioners feel about this, we had a partnership with the Village of Yesteryear. They have their board, and we were able to provide some land, and then they provided the funding for the relocation and for the upgrade of that facility. And I know that, we have a county home park out on County Home Road, and I don't know if the long-range plan of that park includes anything like this or not, but, as speaking as one commissioner, I could see we could work out where we might provide the 4.5 acres of land,
sure, and
then you would have a board or a committee or something to raise the additional revenue. I could see maybe a partnership like that, but $7 or $8 or $10 million, that is, you're talking about another school.
Right. And that's really, at this point, that's all we're really asking, is that you just be part of the conversation. That if we can get a development committee together and sit down and say, okay, we could bring this. We can't bring $7 million right now, but we could bring some transportation, we could bring some land, and see what the different groups can do together. I think that that's a start.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner James.
Money is the issue. The business that makes more money in Pitt County is Pitt Memorial Hospital. They made $49 million last year. They bought up most of the buildings that's out there, so they don't have any more to buy. So I would suggest by all means that you get one of the trustees to be on that committee. Also, Pitt Community College is good at collecting money, sponsoring and so forth, and they are, and I'm proud of them. It's good to have one of them. But the thing that comes to my mind is these new high schools that we built. We put 2 huge gyms in each one of them. Why in the world, if you just use your head, and one of those gyms could have been outfitted with that? That's planning.
Amen. I believe
your vision is good. I really do. And Dr. Johnson's right. I'm a kind of a conservative. I believe in getting my money's worth. And that's the way to get it. It's there most of the time not being used. Let's face it, the whole summer. And the thing about it, the way I look at it, I would support it. I wouldn't have a problem, Jimmy, land and so forth, because I believe it's going to cost us, and the upkeep, as Dr. Johnson said, is going to be tremendous. No need of beating around the bush about it. That's going to be cost you more money and probably in the long run than building itself. But I want to remind all of you this, and most of you, our manager knows what I'm going to say now. All of these little things here in Pitt County, and the Scott swimming pools. Scott, they got teams. And they go, I went to one, and the reason I know he's involved because his kids go, and I went to one, he had all his kids, he had a big tent put up and all this stuff. And I thought it was very good. And, you know, it's a health issue, obesity. And that's what I believe the hospital should be involved. The hospital foundation, Phil Flowers and those people, and he's not on it now, but those people can help you so much more than what we can really do. Although I'm sure there's not a county commissioner sitting here what don't think it's a wonderful idea, and if we just had plenty of money, we wouldn't have a problem to help you. But Jimmy was right about the village of yesteryear. You got to have workers on your committee that'll get out there, and this board knows we gave them the land, and some people didn't think they were going to get the money. But they've got the money and got it set up, and again, that was a long-term vision. It's not for the now, it's for the future. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, let me speak.
Commissioner Owens?
You know, and it's odd that I want to commend you for your innovation, and that's what you got to do. But I'm surprised at this board. They came here and wanted to solve all of our problems here tonight. That's not the detail asked for. He just wanted a member of the committee to study this. And I move that the Madam Chairman, at the appropriate time, appoint a committee, a member from this board to serve on that committee.
Second motion.
Thank you for that. And do we need to vote on that motion?
Have to vote on all
Okay.
motions.
Well, let's vote on that now, and I'll get you, Commissioner McLaughlin. And I'll save my remarks until after you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Both of my grandchildren, I'm proud to say, are avid swimmers.
Very good.
One, and both of them, Ms. Perdue, have both won national recognition for their age group, ages 10 and 17. But I do understand that there is a tremendous, urgent need in the African American community for this sport. Swimming is desperately needed, and you so adequately described that. So I certainly support this initiative based upon those reasons that you were so adequately describing. As Commissioner Owens mentioned, this is to study. But I think that even taking it further, if we would, I don't think it's nothing impossible that this county can't do. Collaboration and working with other agencies and donors. No, I don't think the county commissioner, but you didn't ask that. The county commissioner could do it all because of the strength of money that we need. But I certainly think that if we get together as businesses and donors and private concerns, this can be a reality. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner McLaughlin. I'm going to kind of cut to the chase because we've spent a lot of time on this. Three of the commissioners have made note of what was done as far as the village of yesteryear. They came to us with an idea, and it was kind of like just kind of thrown out there. And it was recommended to them that they get better organized as far as establishing their own board. And I'm sure amongst you all somewhere there's an attorney or something, so you won't have to spend the money to do whatever you have to do to get like a foundation board established. And what you will find is when you start looking for grants and going to people and asking for donations, and we have some generous people in Pitt County when it comes to our youth and making things better for our community. But they always want to know, what do you have? And what happened with the village of yesteryear was we were able to give them the property. I mean, they were asking people, can you donate money to move the village of yesteryear? And they said, where are you going to put it? And they said, well, we don't have anywhere yet. Well, they didn't get any money at that point. So that is one of the things. I'm not saying it's just like Jimmy said, I'm the one person saying that, but I was kind of hearing that from all the comments. And certainly I think it would be fine for us to have a commissioner on your board, but I think you need to get really busy and get that board, your group organized, get your people on it. And it's almost like forming a foundation board like you find at the university or the hospital or anywhere else that goes out to raise money. And you can apply for grants and things like that once you get organized and established. No one on this commission does not feel like this would be a very, very important thing for Pitt County. I would make one suggestion that you might include one or two municipalities in our county other than just Greenville. I think that would be wise
On
to...
the board, you're saying?
Yes, on the
okay.
board.
Okay.
You had them there, some
Sure.
people you were suggesting.
That's right.
And I think that it would be wise, because if it's going to be a county endeavor, we need to hear from those, like the municipalities that feed Aden Grifton.
Sure.
And that feed Farmville and that feed North Pitt. And I'm not talking about one from every one. They would feel good if they were, if there were two. So I think we will thank you for your presentation. It was excellent.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I hope you have felt good about the comments
A lot of
here,
good ideas.
and I will get back to you with the appointee to your board.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you all.
thank you again. Okay, our next is public address to the board.
Yes, Madam Chairman, we have one person signed up for public comments, and that is Hoyt Haddock. Who come forward, please, and give us your address and name once again.
I think that's right.
Good evening. My name is Hoyt Haddock. I'm from the Pactolus community, and the reason I'm here is to speak a little bit about the moving of the rescue squad and the information that I got that the rescue squad could be moved from the Pactolus community. Several of us would hope that the squad would continue to be in Pactolus. I understand that the fire department would like some type of rent money from the rescue squad. It used to be Pactolus, but now it's actually Pitt County. I was a chartered member on that squad when it first started, and like I say, if it's moved, say the paper said to Stokes, that's a pretty good ways from Pactolus. It would not, to me, serve the Pactolus community as well as being in Stokes. Another thing that I was going to say is if the county had to rent that particular building, I feel that $500 a month would be a decent price. It may not be what the Pactolus Fire Department wants, but I feel like that would be a decent price. And if the county could not come up with some kind of decent figure to rent that building, my son and I own 2.5 acres directly behind this existing squad right now, and we would consider renting that land to the Pitt County Rescue Squad or the Pitt County commissioners or whoever rents it, and we would do this as actually as a favor to my late wife. She was on that squad. She was and several of you knew her, and she loved to be she was a nurse. She was a EMS person, and she would really like this to happen. What I'm saying, if the squad cannot come up with a settlement with the fire department, we would rent this property as a 40-year lease for $1 a year to keep that squad in Pactolus. Thank you very much.
Ms. Haddock, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone
you, sir.
else?
No, ma'am. That's just somebody in the audience.
Okay. Our next item is our manager's report. Mr. Elliott.
Yes, ma'am. We have under item A, next meeting dates in the month of January. You'll meet on January the 9th, 2012 for a 9 a.m. meeting. That'll be the only meeting that month due to the New Year's holiday as well as Martin Luther King holiday. In February, your first meeting will be February 6th at 9 a.m. Item B and item C are put on the agenda to make you aware that we are in the process of trying to schedule on item B a preliminary budget/financial workshop. We're looking at probably the latter part of January to kind of give you an outlook where we are headed for this fiscal year in terms of our budget and some of the issues we talked about in the last meeting. Item C, the breakfast meeting with the legislative delegation. Again, we're looking in the month of January to hold a meeting with our legislative delegation, the delegates from that local legislative delegation, to discuss issues pertaining to Pitt County before they move into the short session. Again, we're still looking at the schedule on that. Item D, as the board is aware, you revised your travel policy the last quarter of last year, and with the NACO Legislative Conference coming up, that'll be in Washington, D.C., March 3rd through 7th, and we have followed that policy in terms of following the schedule as to who would go, depending upon who wanted to go and who didn't. Right now, we have 3 people who have indicated an interest to go. We have them registered. At the same time, there was a 4th individual on the board who wanted to attend the conference as well, and I pretty much said that we'd need to put it on the agenda to discuss it because it'd be an exception to the policy. And I think, Mr. McLaughlin, if you wanted to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've gone to these NACO legislative conferences, all that, since I've been the commissioners, and certainly these conferences has proved to be very beneficial, very worthwhile, and I think there's nothing else, the collaboration among other fellow commissioners throughout the nation. So it's a learning process, and it's always it's good for me that I can bring some ideas and certain implementation for the good of the county back to this board. So I certainly would like to continue to do that, and I think that we somehow talked about that in initiating this policy, that if there would be a 4th person who wished to attend, that it would come before the board and possibly make the decision at that time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone have a comment? Mr. McLaughlin, one question. Excuse me. Go on, Mr. Garrett.
My comment was simply that we need to follow the procedure. We approve the procedure, and we need to follow the procedure. And whether 3 go or 4 go, I don't think the difference between 3 or 4 would make a significant difference in the benefit to the county. I think that 3 could represent us well, could share our issues, our needs, and bring whatever that needs to be brought back to this board. I think they could do that.
Okay, Mr. Owens.
Like mine, as a follow-up to that, Jim, of course, I have known in the past what it costs to go. But like mine, 1 or 2 could bring back the same information as 3 or 4, Jim.
Right. Yeah. Could I ask the attorney if you will just remind us of just this part of that, I don't know whether you call it a policy or procedure that we voted on and that we do have in place?
Yes, so your policy allows on a rotating schedule 3 commissioners at a time to go. Your policy procedure also allows a provision so that if an additional commissioner would like to attend who's not on the rotation schedule, that person could be allowed by a majority vote of the board.
And that is for out of state, not in state, but out of state conferences. Excuse me, that was what I wanted to specify.
That's correct.
Okay, all right.
Madam Chair, you mean you got 4 people that want to go to this particular one?
But 3 are allowed to go by our policy on the rotating basis. So those 3 people, in the order that they have come.
And we have 40 people want to go this time?
A 4th person that wants to go. So, okay. I just wanted that clarified.
Let me ask this. I don't care to go, but I represent District 1. Commissioner McLaughlin represents District 1. What's wrong if I don't go for him to represent my district to take my place?
Are you one of the 3?
Well, I'm eligible because I haven't been, and they called me up. They called me up and asked me if said I was top on the list, as a matter of fact.
Is that, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I said, but he represents District 1, and I represent
Districts 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
Then it goes to 4, 5, and 6. Then it goes to A, B, and C.
It goes down. If 1 says no, then 2 go. You go to 2, and then you go to 3 or whatever.
That's right.
I'm just asking.
Well,
actually, going to a Washington legislative meeting, you're not going up there to represent a district.
I
you're going up there to represent the whole county.
Yeah, I know that. It's a county thing. We appoint.
When you said no, then we went to District 2.
That's right.
And so I don't know that we could back up because 2 and 3 and 4 have said yes, correct? Okay. So I think I'm hearing the consensus that we want to stick to our policy, and this is actually the first out-of-state meeting, I think, since we've had our policy in place, correct?
Beth,
Nothing to prevent anyone from going if they want to pay their way.
Are you one of the one from 4?
No.
Well, I thought the chairman ought to go, and this is just pitching it out, that the chairman of the board ought to be excluded from the number. So that would get back to what, I mean, this is just the rationale to it.
Right.
The chairman each time probably should go, and then if 3 others want to go, I've got no problem with that.
Well, I think the policy
Although
doesn't
it's
speak
against
that
the
way.
policy.
Yeah, I said I don't think we did it, and if we want to make a change in the policy later, I think that'll be fine. But am I hearing the consensus that we want to stick with our policy for this go-around? Is that what I'm hearing?
Madam Chairman, there also may be the possibility that if one of the 3 who are signed up are unable to go, then Mr. McLaughlin could step in that person's stead and go in their place.
Okay.
Unless you, as by majority vote, would like to allow them to go.
Do we need to take a vote?
Well,
I don't
just
think we
by
do
way
if
of-
it's the consensus.
Just by way of information, District 4, if you and I are not going, who's, you said you went down from 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but there's
So
two
you're probably to it.
But there are 2 representatives in one.
Oh, that's okay.
You know, isn't that right?
Well, that's in one.
When you have the, I mean, I don't know where the
we go-
super
That's all right.
districts fall.
Then go to 2.
We go.
You got 1 and 2?
Let's wait 1 minute. Can we answer that question about
We can, and the
District
clerk
4?
to the board administered that policy was, so if I could defer to her.
It started off with districts 1, 2, and 3, which were James, Hammond, and Johnson.
Okay.
And then it went to 4, 5, and 6, which were Webb, McLawhorn, and I don't know the other one off the top of my head.
That's my point.
Then we went to super districts A, B, and C.
Right.
Madam Chair, I move that 4 be permitted to go this time.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, let's vote.
This is going to bust our budget, Madam Chairman.
Well, let's vote.
I think
We got a motion.
we got, I hope they're conservatives that are going. I did vote. 1, 2.
Okay, it passes.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
The Health Department asked me to announce that we had a county employee who won a Tackle the Flu campaign for 2011. Basically, Mildred Daniels, one of our county employees in the Department of Social Services, was a winner of this. It was put on by the North Carolina Division of Public Health and the Scholastic Sports Marketing. And it's basically an awareness to create awareness about flu and the prevention of it to students and families. So I mentioned I told the Health Department I would make that an announcement for them. So
Okay.
that's all I had besides that.
All right, thank you very much. The next item we have is a report from Dr. Dennis Massey from Pitt Community College. If you'll come forward, please. You want to build a swimming pool out at? No, ma'am. Pitt Community.
He can get some money, though.
Y'all want to pass this down? And then you can bring it back this
We've
way.
already got it.
Good evening, Madam Chair,
Good evening.
board members. It's a pleasure to bring you holiday greetings from Pitt Community College. This is a busy time of the year for us as we're finishing up the fall term, getting ready for spring. You read the article about our enrollment. We are clicking along quite well. Capacity is always an issue. But before I get started, let me introduce a few of our board members who are here with us this evening. First off, our chair, Mr. Paul Davenport, and Mr. Raymond Redrick, longtime board member. And we also have Vice President Susan Everett and Research Associate Andrew Walker here representing us. It has been a great year, 2011, for Pitt Community College, our 50th anniversary. We've been celebrating all year. It's been quite a big deal for us. I've learned a lot about the history, your participation, Pitt County Commissioners, from the very beginning with Pitt Community College, and it's really brought a new sense of pride and momentum for the college as we move forward in our service to Pitt County. Just to give you a little idea of some of the past, and I don't have to remind you of this. This is a picture of the college in the 1960s. I think this was taken in the late 60s because I see that they're constructing the Robert Lee Humber building there. That's the Vernon White building. That was the whole campus right then. And how many of you can identify what that is at the bottom of that picture?
What do you call the bottom?
Right next to the kind of the right side at the bottom. Right next to the Pitt Community College used to be the drive-in theater, the Tice Theater.
I was not going to own up to knowing where that was, actually.
I know Commissioner Ward knows
I've been
where that
told.
I was not going to own up to knowing your.
I've been told that enterprising electronics students at the college figured out a way that they could pipe the sound from the Tice Drive-In Theater and not have to pay the price. Watch from the campus. But you can see it was quite a small area. Can't even see a memorial in this picture. And I've also been told they used to have to pull cars out of that Pitt Tech Road because they get stuck in the mud there. This is a picture of our campus right now. Quite a different scene. As the young lady said who was talking about the swim complex, there is a lot of development in the south and the west part of the campus, of the county. And this is the intersection of Fire Tower and Memorial. We are proud of what we've accomplished with your help. Certainly in the future, the Rebecca Davenport property will be a major asset for Pitt Community College in the next 20 to 25 years. But right now we're focusing our development on the Bowen Farm, just on the other side of Reedy Branch Road. And I want to share with you a few of the projects that are nearing completion on that space. We are busy in construction, and I should say that we have been very successful at bringing all of these projects in on time and within budget, which is quite an accomplishment even these days. Let's see. These are out of. Okay, this is the Construction Industrial Technology Building. This is a large building which will be opened this spring. It represents about $8 million in its cost, and it covers 58,000 square feet. It will be the home for the automotive program, automotive technology, and as well as the construction program, the building construction. As you may have noticed, if you've driven by on Reedy Branch Road, we are now constructing the homes that we sell every year, the small homes to the public near this site. So we've consolidated all of our construction programs at the back of the campus. This building is long. It's 400 feet long, I think. Yeah, it's quite a piece of work, and it's going to be a tremendous asset for us. We'll be opening it this spring. We'll assume final occupancy sometime in late January. So I think it'll be a great asset for our construction industrial technology program, which continues to grow, by the way. That program, all hands-on allied health or allied applied sciences, is quite popular. We have a full complement of students. This is another shot of the entrance of that building. The Charles Russell Building is another big element of what we're doing on the Bowen Farm. Charles Russell Building is primarily a classroom building. It represents about 53,000 square feet on 2 levels, and its cost is around $9 million. I don't think, you can't see from this side, but this is on the same side of the road that's right next to the Warren Building, the Ed and Joan Warren Building. And you can see from this shot, it's got quite a span to it. It has a little bit of an odd design, but I think it's very cost-effective and uses the space well. It will we will have several programs that will be based there, including computer labs, a lot of our public services and social science programs will be located there. This is another shot from the back of the Charles Russell Building. This, by the way, doesn't show, but this was a part of the campus that got hit a lot by Hurricane Irene. A lot of the roofs were roughed up, but they're back on schedule, and they've done a lot of comeback from that little bit of a slip. This is the welding building on campus, a view that you couldn't have seen before Hurricane Irene, because remember, we had a modular unit that was located almost right in this space, and Hurricane Irene took one of those trees down and completely demolished it. So we had to pull that out. But you can see the whole expanse of the welding building here. We used to call it welding and masonry, but we don't run a masonry program anymore. There wasn't demand in the community for that, for people with a certificate. They could get that training online or get that training on the job. And so we're going to be using this entire building for welding. Our welding program is growing. We've recently struck up a very strong partnership with the Roberts Company, which, as you know, is expanded further in Winterville. And we're doing quite well in the welding area, and we need to use all the space in the welding building for welding, which we didn't before. That's going to force us to do some fairly sizable renovation to this facility, because we need to bring electrical power into it in a bigger way than what we have right now. I think that will be a good investment for us. It is a well-situated building right next to our student center, so we have hopes that we'll be able to accomplish that, and we may be coming back to you with fund balance, our own fund balance use later, early in 2012, and this might be one of the projects we'll talk with you about. The Vernon White Building, the oldest building on campus, constructed in 1964. We're going to be starting next September, late September, vacating most of that building for a major renovation. Remember, we had a big renovation of the Robert Lee Humber building about in 2005, wasn't it? And that was very successful. We're going to do some of the same work on the Vernon White Building. Particularly the heating and air conditioning and bringing the restrooms up to handicap accessibility. That project will be another very important one for the campus, as the Vernon White Building continues to hold not only our administrative offices and the bookstore, but also some applied programs. We're going to be running probably the electrical program or heating and air conditioning out of the back of that, and then also horticulture. So we're continuing to put a lot of emphasis on applied programs at Pitt Community College, and we're seeing that there's certainly a demand in that area. We could not have done these projects without your help. We wanted to share with you what we're so pleased with in terms of the advance of our facilities. I want to thank Susan Everett, our Vice President for Administration, for overseeing the planning and the follow-through with these facilities. We've been very pleased with the work of the architects as well as the contractors, and as I said, we're on time, within budget. You can't beat that. So I thank you for what you've done to help Pitt Community College. I think it would be great if we could have you over to the college sometime in 2012 and show you firsthand the results of these buildings. And Mr. Johnson is right. We have raised some money in the past. We were so lucky, fortunate with the Herman Simon building. But as you remember, these buildings were primarily the result of the local sales tax option that you supported in 2007, and that will remain a tremendous asset for our county for years to come. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you. I just wanted to give you a thumbnail sketch of what we're accomplishing at the college, and be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Massey. Anybody got a question, comment?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And
Susan
thank you,
had
board
sent
members
me-
who are here.
Madam.
Sir? Yes.
Dr. Massey,
Yes, sir.
I collected a check for Susan the other day on tuition. She has not sent me my my retainer on it yet.
I thought that was a donation, Mark.
It was. She
Thank
is
you,
very
Mr.
helpful in accomplishing.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Booker, our tax collection report, please.
Good evening. You have the November 2011 tax collection report in front of you, and the November 2011 tax collection rate of 66.04 is slightly ahead of the November 2010 rate of 65.03. And the good news is that all the way down the sheet, we are slightly ahead on each category.
Great, good report. Entertain a motion.
Motion to accept report.
Second.
We'll vote, please, on that. Thank you very much, Ms. Booker. I'll entertain a motion for items for
So moved.
consent.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Let's vote, please. Oops, I'm about to get over. And we have one item for discussion. Mr. Dickerson, if you'll come forward with this report, please, for alternatives for relocating the existing Pactola CMS station.
Madam Chairman, may I make a remark before he starts?
Yes, sir.
I know if I were at Pactolas, I would not want EMS to be moved from Pactolas. And I don't believe that the people that in the Pactolas area wants it to be moved. It's centrally located. It's the place. But at the same time, I believe whatever the money that we spend, and we spend a lot, we need to own it. And I believe somebody there will step up to the plate because they realize how valuable it is to a community to take and to have the EMS squad there in that particular area, and it's centrally located. Therefore, I move, Madam Chairman, that we table this until we can get additional information from the citizens, more citizens than what we have gotten from the community. So I move that we table this issue until other things come into place. And I believe that they will. I believe somebody will.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second
it.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Yes, excuse me, Mr. Webb.
I was just going to say about a table, and this is just a discussion tonight. We're not voting on anything concrete, and maybe it's something that we could kick around tonight as our options. That we've already had an offer for $40 for 40 years on property if needed. I don't think that moving this out of this location is a good idea because it's centrally located, just like you said. And I don't know that there would be any money made if we weren't there. So it just seems like a fee for us to occupy something that's not going to make any money if we weren't there. I think tonight, I'm ready for tabling it just because it's just a discussion and we're not making a decision tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam
Excuse me.
Chairman.
Yes, Mr. James.
Madam Chairman, the reason that primarily, I'm sure a lot of the people in the Pactolas area does not know or did not know what was about to take place. And I think that the leaders there in that community will come up and help Pitt County do what's right for not only Pactolas, but that whole entire area. And you can't do it tonight. It's going to have to be worked out to the betterment of the area. And we know that. And as I have said many times, we've learned that on solid waste sites. It doesn't pay you to rent them. You got to spend this money to upkeep and all this, so you might as well own it. And I believe that somebody will come up, and knowing those people there, the history of the community, I don't think we're going to have a problem. I really don't. And that's the reason but it's going to take some time to take in and do it. And I'm sure that the powers to be there will give us that time to take in and work it out. That's all I have to say, man.
Okay, the manager has a...
I did want to say, in our meetings with the Pactolas Volunteer Fire Department, they did tell us that they really wanted a decision by the county by the first of the year as to what our intentions were. So as a staff, that's why this has been put on the agenda to flesh out the options, to let you know. I guess so. I just don't want to be caught unawares when they ask us what our plans are the first of the year.
I guess my question is, Madam Chairman,
Okay.
if we table it, who is going to take the initiative to pursue this with the community? Do you have a plan in mind? I mean, I don't want to just table it and then we come back together next month and we're in the same position we're in this evening.
No, indeed. I agree with you 100%. It's time for action to go ahead and do it. Well, they know our plans is to take, if we can't come to a deal and we're not interested in renting, so to speak, if they want to sell to Pitt County, I think we need to find out the price, but I think this is up to the group as to what they want to do. I really do, and I don't think the thing that the field came up with, to me, is too expensive for what we're getting. I think Dad, I just disagree with it. I think we can do much better than that, the plans is, of course, they know that if we've got to rent and continue, and they can come back. They say they're not going to come back 5 years from now. Say if it's $500 now, it'll be $1,000. You can't go by that. Well, I don't think you can. So I believe in owning whatever you're going to invest that money in for the county money is to own it, and then we can spend money on it and have it like it ought to be. That's my plans.
Okay, just one comment about that is exactly what Mr. Webb said. This was just for discussion, not to vote on any one of these three, but each one of them speaks to owning. The option with the fire department is still renting. So we need to make sure we know that. That's not going to change because the fire department owns the building and they're the ones who's saying they won't rent if we stay there. So let me go to Mr. Owens and then Mr. Smith. I think
I think the new information that we've received tonight, or it was new to me, that the gentleman came up and said, I've got land back of this, then he's willing to work with to keep the rescue squad in that area, in that community. And probably everybody, and I do, wants it to stay in that community. I just think that particular remark that he made, that offer that he made, needs some discussion that he's not here tonight, I guess he's gone.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
But I think that needs to be reworked.
Okay.
Is the reason I'm for taking.
Right, okay. Mr. Smith?
The fire department wants rent for the building, as I understand. Well, isn't most of the people that's in the fire department live in that area?
Yeah.
I don't understand why they want to explore the possibility of it being moved by having the county having to pay rent for
it. That's who we've gotten the letters from. Is the fire department.
The whole fire department voted on this, or is it just one person or two or three people in the fire department that has said this?
You can tell us who the letter was from.
Well, we've been told that the board of directors for the volunteer fire department did vote on this. When we met back in October with them, it was with their executive board of the board of directors.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson, just 1 minute. I'll go to you next.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Putting a vote on tabling is it appears to me not exactly what we're following. What we're following is discuss the whole details and attempting to resolve the issue tonight. This proposal, as I understood it by the gentleman, Mr. Haddock, was just a piece of land. It wasn't a building. The building's what cost the money. And I personally have been assured by the unelected, non-elected leader of the Pactolus community, Lawrence Davenport, that they're not going to attempt to kick us out of that building. And we just need to stand firm that we're not going to pay any rent. And then see what happens. And that's what I think ought to be before this board. We're not going to pay any rent.
Well, that's already been
Okay,
decided.
just a minute. Mr. Hammond, Mr. Hammond, you wanted to speak?
Yeah. Madam Chairman, one of the Davenports from that community is sitting right here.
There's two of them.
Two of them are sitting in the building right now. Maybe they could enlighten us on what the community feels more, or wants to happen down there. I feel that they can.
You got one coming up.
Just a minute. Just a minute. I know I don't want to put him on the spot either, but we keeping on talking.
I'm assuming you're requesting for me to tell you what I know.
Yes, sir.
If you want to, Mr. Davenport.
Yes, sir, Mr. Davenport. If you know something.
Mr. Haddock's proposal was news to me too. I had not heard that before. The bottom line is the Board of Directors has made a request that it be cleared up by the first of the year, just as Mr. Elliott has said. The whole proposal, the Board of Directors did pass it, but it was not unanimous. I appreciate Mr. James tabling this proposal because I think that we need some time to canvass the community.
That's it.
And allow them to speak out, because I don't think everybody in the community knows exactly what they're faced with. We don't want the EMS squad to leave. It is centrally located. It does serve our community in the best in this location. I apologize for all the controversy, but not everybody thinks the same. So, my proposal or suggestion to the board is to give us a little bit more time, and maybe we can come up with some means to canvass the community. And if the community speaks out that they want the squad to stay, then I don't see why the community can't override the vote that the Board of Directors of the Fire Department had.
Okay, and I think that is, thank you very much for coming forward on the spot like this. We really appreciate that. I think where we are on this, Madam Attorney and Manager, is we have this letter, and it says, we want you out by January 1st. So,
Or basically they want a decision on the county.
Or a decision from the county by then. And the reason that this is on the agenda, because I asked the question when I came to talk about the agenda with the manager, is that to get it out there in the public so that the public will know. I think that Mr. Haddock found out about it, and he's a member of the community, and he felt very strongly about it. And I think that's why he was here tonight with his proposal. And, you know, setting it up right in the backyard of the building that's already there. But somebody's got to be responsible for the canvassing. And so, and I don't know if you have an idea or how you can propose to get that done, but
it'll be talked about.
It will be talked about because it's been out there now. It's more out in the public. But I don't know where we stand. That's what the letter says. You've been out to speak with them, with the manager. Do you have any suggestions, Madam Attorney?
Madam Chairman, we have responded to the letter based on this board's last determination not to pay rent. And so we have responded to that letter. I'm not sure we've responded in a way that they wanted to hear, but there has been, in fact, a response to that letter. And unless there's further direction from this board, I'm not sure that I, as county attorney, or Scott, as county manager, have further direction to act further. So I would say that if this board tables the issue, then the matter sits.
Yeah, we need to vote. It's a motion. It's been
So I know it has been, and we're going to vote on the motion, but we also discussed the motion. And Mr. McLaughlin, you have your turn.
I think Mr. Davenport has just told me enough for me to make a fruitful decision. And I respect what he said, and certainly I think that tabling this matter based upon his comment is the appropriate thing to do at this time.
Okay. Any other discussion, Mr. Webb?
One last thing. Thank you, Madam Chairman. By not tabling it, we're not making a decision on Mr. Dickerson's proposals tonight. This is for informational purposes only, and this, because it can be viewed online, because it's being viewed right now, will assist, I believe, the public who's interested in this, already watching, to see what the options and possible alternatives are. We're not going to vote up or down on any of them tonight. This is just so, in essence, the actual vote on a decision has been tabled, but the discussion has not been had. So I think if we table the whole issue, then what we're doing is putting off the discussion another month, and we only have one meeting in the month of January, and then we'll be putting that off till February before another decision. Now, I think the obvious answer is that we're not going to be out by January 1st. It's not really a logistical way to do it, but the community needs to be informed of, because of this and because of the corner we've been painted into, these are the possible decisions that may come down the line as we make preparations when logistically possible.
In your discussion of this motion that we're going to vote on when you finish, do you want to just name those three options right now?
Sure. Let me just pull them up.
Just real quickly, they're in your agenda.
And they didn't want you to put you on the spot. They didn't mind putting me on the spot.
No, it doesn't put, yes.
I agree with Mr. James. Whatever we do on the owner, we don't put down the lease or nothing.
Would you like for the manager to share those?
All that's going to be out anyway.
I know, but the public has not heard the proposals for the three.
You give these people time, and they will work it out. They'll pay
Page 18. I'll be happy to do it.
Just let him.
For the end of my discussion, it would be that the options would be that the EMS station at Stokes will not be located in a place where the quickest service can be provided to most people now being served by Pactolus. And number two would be, while the Stokes Fire Department has expressed a desire to cooperate with the county, it does not wish to provide the station to the county until negotiations are finished with Pactolus. And number three would be, it is likely to take longer to renovate the existing structure than to acquire new modular. And all this comes about that we're going to end up having to spend a lot of money overall if this goes through.
Right.
And
the three items that Mr. Dickerson was going to present, can I have the manager just share those and then we'll vote?
Right. The three options: one was to renovate the old Stokes Fire Station and relocate the current Pactolus operation up there on Highway 33, which is probably a good 10 miles north of the current location. Second option is to provide a new modular structure at a new location in the Pactolus community. The third option was to provide a new conventionally built structure similar to the Bethel and Bel Arthur stations that we built probably 7-8 years ago. Those are the three options. I think what Commissioner Webb was going to do was telling some of the rationale for option number one, which was the EMS station at Stokes.
So basically, they were the three options that Mr. Dickerson was going to present, and that's just to get that word out, that there are three options that we might consider down the road if we have to come out of the station. So whatever comes out from the public, we would expect hopefully to hear at our next meeting, depending on how the vote goes. Yes, Mr. Johnson and then Mr. Smith.
Well, it appears that we're continuing to discuss this issue,
well, we were discussing
Madam Chairman, and
motion.
I think that what I said earlier is what's going to happen, and that is that that we're going to be allowed, without paying any rent, to use the current rescue building forever and ever, longer than this board's going to serve. And we're spending a lot of money to put paramedics in that building to serve the area. And I attend the meetings of the EMS Oversight Committee, and we don't have money to spend paying rent, and we haven't proposed to pay rent in the past. I mean, if we get into that business, the Falkland Fire Department allows the use of the old fire department there for the rescue building, and there's no rent being paid there. And you start paying rent, you really will be getting into a lot of stuff. And the best thing for us to do is just to consider that rescue service being where it is now. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
And I hope your prediction is correct, and that's what we all hope, the prediction is correct. But, yes, sir, that's not what we got in the letter. So
I can't imagine the people over in that area would want to see it moved to another location. With that in mind, Madam Chairman, we have a motion on the floor, and
Yes,
I
sir.
call for the question.
Okay, we're ready to vote. Thank you. And that this motion is to table this until the next meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Was that what it said?
Yes, ma'am.
They're going to work it out.
How about reading it for us?
Just wait. I know there's
Just a
people
minute.
messing around.
Table the item until more information is received.
Okay, it didn't
That's
say
it.
the next meeting until
That's
more
right.
information is received. Okay. We ready to vote?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to our first item for decision, and this is
Madam Chairman,
to
may I
affirm
say something before you leave that? I disagree with what they did at Bethel and Belle Apple, 100%. We
We
thrown
know.
away hundreds of thousands of dollars, and for goodness sakes, don't go and build another buildings like that for them to go there and have. I'll be quiet.
we understand that.
All right,
Thank you,
good.
Mr. James.
I want you to understand.
We got it.
Madam Chairman, we discussed our rules of procedures pretty extensively at our last meeting. I make a motion that we reconfirm the adopted rules of procedure.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, let's vote, please. Okay, our next item, Mr. Norley, if you'll come forward, please.
Madam Chair, I'm coming before you tonight asking for your approval for an MOU with the City of Greenville. And this MOU is something that our county staff has developed and talked with. Greenville and their Public Works Department has requested to be a partner and agency on our 700 megahertz radio system. And we have developed this MOU asking for their understanding of it and asking for your approval to move forward with this.
Madam Chairman, what does MOU stand for?
Okay, Mr.
Memorandum
Lee.
of Understanding.
Okay, memorandum of understanding, and we requested this from other agencies, and this is the only one that responded in a positive manner.
Greenville Public Works is the only one that stepped up.
So
this
we would be just approving
just that one.
that
Motion to
one.
approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion, Mr. Owens?
I just wanted to know, make sure that you got your money right when you talk about the subscriber fee. Subscriber fee of $10 per subscriber, unit per month for a total of $120. Does everybody understand that? Mr. Manager, will you tell me what it is?
Yeah, I don't understand.
We're not trying to create a revenue stream to pay for the system. Basically, we're allowing them to be a partnering agency to use some of our radio space, and Noel can probably expand upon what I'm trying to say, but the revenue stream we're creating is very minor in relation to the debt service on the $5 million overall radio system or $4 million system.
The system itself.
Madam?
Yes, Mr. Owens.
You paid $5 million. You're going to get this. Do you project as to what the revenue returns going to be from the city of Greenville for this?
The city of Greenville is going to have to buy their own equipment, just like the bulk cost of
No,
our...
I'm not talking about that. I want to know, do you project under this memorandum of agreement what your revenues are going to be from it? Can you?
Yes. No,
What is that?
per year on the subscriber fee? $120 a year times the...
Greenville Public Works is looking at about 220 subscriber units. So at $120 a year would be the projected revenue stream for just that portion of it.
How much is it? Tell me.
About over 200,000.
Do it? I'm getting my mathematicians over here figuring it somewhere a little over.
220 times 120
So
120.
times 220 units.
All right, how much is it? I want to hear the figure.
Somewhere around 28, I want to guess.
18,000.
Have not figured that, Mr. Owens.
2,600, about $2,600.
Huh?
About
$26,000
$26,000.
a year.
But again, remember, the city of Greenville is buying all of the radios that we are buying. Our debt service is based upon the equipment we bought. They're having to buy their own equipment as well and pay debt service on their equipment.
I just want you to assure me that you're getting the money you're supposed to get.
Yes,
and
sir.
for $5 million that you pay it out and somebody else is going to have access to it, and I'm not a mathematician, I do not know what the procedure is, but it sounds to me like a short coming in money for having access to something. I know we're good neighbors and we want to do that. Okay.
We fleshed this out many times over and wanted to have a cost that's reasonable. Again, they still have to buy all the equipment we're buying. We have enough for, I think, is it 1,200 users?
1,600 is what the system will allow the users on it currently at this time. So,
I hate to belabor this, madam.
Well, no, I think what we need to hear is that regardless of whether anyone comes on board with us, it's still going to have to be done.
that's correct.
And the other people that we asked chose not to, but we're still going to have to fund them.
But this is only for the infrastructure
Right,
itself. It is
exactly.
not for the subscriber units. That is still at their expense.
Exactly.
And now, will they fall underneath the same contract as the amount that Motorola will sell these radios to them? Yes, they will, but it will not be.
It will not come from us.
No.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Smith?
What they gonna buy for this? What, $2,600?
$26,000.
$26,000
per
year.
year. How much of the system will they be allowed to use?
They're getting 200 of the 1,600 slots. But they're still having to buy all their own equipment. We're not buying any equipment for them.
Okay. All right, right on the other hand, how much is it worth to Pitt County, what's left of the 1,600 slots, if we had to pay the same amount that Greenville's paying for it?
Well, right now we're looking at roughly 750 subscriber units for the county. That's fire, EMS, the detention center. There's those items there, about 750. And again, I have not figured that again, as far as that revenue stream that Mr. Owens mentioned back to. But again, it would be at that same figure.
With this 750 units, will it be slowed down by what Greenville?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
And the county does.
That was and that's one of the things there, Mr. Smith, that if we do go back and we start to look at that, if we have to start looking at adding additional base stations, then we would look at who would be the partnering agency to help with that cost.
The county does not have a subscriber unit fee like we're charging any partnering agencies that want to come on board. There are probably other agencies in the county that will want to come on board, and every 200 units, if we can bring another 25,000, we can defray some of our principal and interest on the system. But that's not the intent of, because once we pay it off, then those units, those partner agencies are going to say, well, I shouldn't have to pay anymore because your system is paid off. That is not the intent of asking them to be partners, because they're making their own debt service on their own equipment.
And see, we're not having to pay for the 750 units.
I just hate to see that we install this unit and then find out it's overloaded and we have to do something else to the system.
And I agree with you on that one, Mr. Smith.
Okay, Mr. James?
The med school and the hospital, I haven't heard you mention those, and they should be big.
We've had them at the table on numerous occasions, as well as all the municipalities in the county and ECU and other agencies. Greenville Public Works was the only entity willing to come into the table, sign a letter of intent to partner, and then actually take it to City Council and be the partner agency. We are still courting the PCMH, the hospital system. If they were to come on board, the number of units, Noel, you've said is
around 400 plus.
Have you met with them?
Yes, sir.
And
So you met
numerous-
with them and they are not interested?
All
That
the
scares
other
me.
partners that we have, and how many were there?
We've probably had 15 folks, entities
They've
in the
met and talked to over 15 and only the city of Greenville. But those people can come back on board later on, right? So it's not over, but we need to vote on this. Mr. Johnson, and then we'll take our vote.
Yes, I want to
Do we have?
summarize, I believe, what Mr. Owens is trying to get at. We're left holding the bag, Mr. Owens. The cost of the major unit, Pitt County government, is going to have to pay for it, and here is one of those unfunded mandates from the federal government, and we're going to have to cough up the money in the next budget to help finance this the total package, and we don't have any mandatory leverage to get these other people to come in and pay their share. We're left holding the bag, Mr. Owens.
Okay, Mr. Owens?
One more time, and I'm sorry
That's fine.
to
No,
belabor this,
go right
but I'm going
ahead.
to get to the crux of it. The citizens of Greenville are Pitt County citizens, just like what we're talking here. So we all ought to have the same generation to it. But my problem is, Scott, no, you didn't give me enough information. You didn't give me enough figures. That's my complaint. Okay.
Apologize.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, let's vote. Would
One
you?
thing, I'd comment again.
Yes, sir.
If you're looking for more money, come budget time, you're in trouble. So that you can just go with it any way you want to. You've got to go sweat it out. That's going to be y'all's business. So you just keep that in mind.
Okay. And I'm afraid budget time is all of our businesses, and we'll
Yeah,
all
that's
be there
exactly
when the
right,
time
but
when
I'm
the rubber
telling you.
hits the road. But
Madam
the
Chairman,
motion.
we did not have a second. I'll second it.
Oh, okay.
No,
I thought we did have a second, but anyway, Mr. Garris made the motion, and you seconded it to approve this. So let's vote, please.
I'm not sure.
Mr. James?
I still don't know what I'm voting. I'm kind of mixed up. I don't want
You're
to
voting
vote.
for Greenville to use our
That's the only thing I'm
megahertz.
voting for is for
Yes,
Greenville
sir.
to use it. Well,
Yes,
I
sir.
can do that. 'Cause they need
You've
to have
already
it.
approved the system.
Yeah, but I'm going to start voting no on that booger.
Okay. All right,
Now-
our next item is Mr. Elliott, a resolution to support Governor Perdue's veto.
Sure. This item was added to the agenda close to the end, and if you see on page 52, my reviewed by comments say not reviewed. That should say reviewed. It just didn't get past us before we printed at the last moment. This basically, as the chairman has said, is a resolution to support Governor Perdue of House Bill 351, which was formerly known as Restore Confidence in Government, informally known as the voter photo ID requirement. Commissioner McLawhorn has asked this be put on the agenda, and basically there's a draft resolution for the board to consider to, again, support the governor's veto of this bill. There's several entities in the county that have already adopted similar resolutions to this, and Mr. McLawhorn, I'll kind of turn it towards you if you have other comments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I received some information and some recommendation from the county NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference Organization, the North Carolina Democratic African American Caucus, in terms of adopting this resolution as proposed by Governor Bev Perdue. And if, Madam Chair, you want me to read this resolution as
I don't think we need to read the resolution, I think, because everybody on the board has
Okay.
had an opportunity to read it because it was in our packet.
Yeah.
But we'll need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept this resolution.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Garris.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman. Whatever happens in Raleigh, I just don't believe this board ought to act or react, because they're in a knockdown drag-out up there in Raleigh about what's going to happen and what isn't going to happen. And I just don't think we ought to be supporting a veto or not supporting a veto for anything. And so I can't vote for this. I'm sorry. I just think we shouldn't get involved in the battle that's going on in Raleigh between the governor and the leadership of the General Assembly.
Okay, Mr. Garris?
Madam Chairman, we discussed this issue at length back on our July the 11th meeting, and I think that we should take the same action this evening, if we're going to take any action, that we took on 7/11. I personally think that the House Bill 351 is a good bill. I think it just reaffirms our confidence in our system, and I believe that everyone on this board wants everyone that is qualified to vote, and we don't want people who are not qualified to vote. So this bill just simply restores the confidence and protects the integrity of the system. Therefore, Madam Chairman, I would like to make a substitute motion, and that substitute motion is that we reaffirm the position, the decision we made on July the 11th, and that we take no action on this motion and no action on House Bill 351.
Okay.
Second.
And there's a second. Okay, any discussion?
Question.
I have Mr. James, and then did you not raise your hand to speak? Okay, Mr. James?
In other words, what that was, that we don't go or against.
Right.
That's right. You made the motion in July.
Yeah, all right. But that's
So we're just reaffirming that.
Okay, that's the substitute motion.
I thought we had done something.
Okay,
on this
Mr.
before.
Webb?
I agree with Mr. Garris's assertion and about the law itself, and that we should take no action on it. So it was discussed at great length and detail at that meeting, and I would be supportive of that motion.
Okay. So we vote on the substitute motion first, right, Madam Attorney?
That's correct.
Mr. McLaughlin, you have a comment before we
I
vote?
just want to make this statement. I think it's sending a message, though, that this board is in agreement with the governor as she's proposed, because see, voting is a right that I think you described it well, Commissioner Garris, that all citizens have. And I think that we ought to set that example here on this board, that we affirm that right and that we agree with that right. So I think that we need to support the governor's wishes.
Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I think that affirming the governor doesn't mean that or not affirming the governor does not mean that we are against the right of all people. And the 15th Amendment says the right of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. And having a voter ID doesn't do that, because no one's ability to attain an ID is abridged based on any of that. And the statute provides 8 different forms of acceptable ID. It provides a vehicle that at no charge to any person seeking an ID, that they will receive one, and that if they don't have an ID on the date of the election, they're allowed to cast a provisional ballot, which is later checked against their address and then confirmed and sent in the vote. So I would disagree on that being opposed to the governor makes you opposed to the people's right to vote. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Let's vote on the Yes, sir.
I think that we should encourage the citizens of Pitt County, every one of them here that's eligible to vote, and do nothing to hinder them from coming to vote. And I don't know what's in this bill or stuff such as that. I'm a firm believer in that, and if the minorities really believe that this is going to be earmarking them, so to speak, to keeping them from voting. And I believe that we got good polling people in every precinct. I believe they're there and they strive to take and to get those people to vote that need to vote and are eligible to vote. And I hope we don't have a lot of this stuff like they've got in Russia and Egypt and these other places. And so I don't know how to go about doing it. And I don't, it's like Commissioner Johnson said, we got a big bunch of mess up there in Raleigh.
Yes, we
You don't know who to believe and who not to believe. And it makes it very bad in something like this. And I don't want to give the opinion to anybody that I don't want them to vote.
Okay.
And I don't think this board does.
No.
And how to go, as we said, maybe that's the way to go. Go neutral. Don't take a stand, but somebody, you got to take a stand some kind of way.
Okay. Let's vote on the substitute motion. Will you repeat that for us, Madam Clerk?
To take no action on the motion or House Bill 351.
Mr. Johnson, will you stay long enough
I've got
to
it.
vote? Oh, you got it.
He has
Okay, I'm sorry.
instructed me.
Okay. To take no action is the motion.
Wait a minute, you vote no. You vote no.
It passed, correct? Okay. All right, our next item is the appointment and the reappointment to the Pitt County Development Commission Board. Madam Clerk, if you'll give us that, or Mr. Elliott, I guess, okay?
Yes, we have, on the Development Commission Board, you have Pat Chappell, Todd Edwards, Richard Erickson, Deidre McGeehan's terms are going to expire at the end of this calendar year. Chappell and Erickson are eligible for reappointment. Edwards and McGeehan have served their maximum number of terms. We do have a person being recommended, new person to represent the university. That'll be Dr. David White. So the recommended motion is to reappoint Pat Chappell and Dr. Richard Erickson to a 3-year term, to another 3-year term, and also to appoint Dr. David White. And you'll have one open seat, as I understand it, that still needs to be filled.
Motion to reappoint Pat Chappell and Dr. Erickson, and to appoint Dr. White.
Second.
Okay, let's vote. Okay. Is there a motion for the new individual or the new appointment? Yes, Mr. Owens?
I move that we appoint Joseph Hilliard to replace Todd Edwards in Farm.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Let's vote, please. Okay. We have come to the part in our meeting for our closed session. Madam Attorney, if you'll take us into closed session, please.
Yes, ma'am. It has been suggested that this board go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A3 to consult with an attorney employed by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged, and also under North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A1 to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to go in closed session.
Second.
Thank you. Let's vote.
I got you. I got you.
Okay. We welcome you back after our closed session. Does anyone have a motion?
Madam Chairman, I would move that we approve the content only of our closed session minutes for November 21st of this year.
Second.
Okay, let's vote, please. Okay, we have commissioners' comments. We'll start with you, Mr. Webb.
Merry Christmas to everyone, and be safe, and can't wait to see you in January.
Okay. Mr. Hammond?
No
Commissioner Johnson?
At the moment, I'll pass, Madam Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Garris?
Just like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
Have a safe and joyous Christmas.
I just want to publicly commend James Rose on his presentation down in Washington, D.C. He was a national, the NACO National Conference on Healthy Communities, and James did an excellent job in his presentation and made front page on the NACO publication.
Yes, he did.
And then Merry Christmas to everybody.
Mr. James?
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Owens?
Have a good night.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Second.
Let's vote. Mr. James, would you hit confirm, please?
Me? I'm voting.
Thank you very much.